Hey guys, Mark Seymour from TRG here. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to run through the riteSCAN manufacturing functionality. We are again going to make use of the Windows touchscreen client. If you have a preference for tablets or mobile devices running on Android or Windows CE or WinMobile, you may take advantage of those platforms as well. You will be able to see the Android versions in various other deep dive videos attached in this video stack. So let's jump ahead and climb straight into manufacturing and see what riteSCAN can do for us as it relates to SysPro transaction processing. I log into riteSCAN as usual. I am presented with the inventory screen, but I'm going to jump straight ahead over to manufacturing and what can we see as available to us. On the top left-hand side, we start off with job receipting, then job issuing, backflushing, WIP locator, kit issue, WIP receipt from inspection, labor posting, and labor tracking. Okay, first things first, let's start off with a very simple understanding of what riteSCAN is doing from a transaction perspective. Starting off with a job issue or job issuing. As we know in SysPro, we can process specific issues or we can take advantage of kit issues. riteSCAN will handle that for you on mobile devices or touchscreens. If we take a very quick look, starting off with a job issue, very unfortunate job numbering, but that's what presented itself. If I enter the job number, this may be included on a works order or a job card that you've issued on the floor. An operator can simply scan or enter in the job number, or if need be, select the browse icon and search for the job within the available list. Here we have job number 666, and we can see that we are manufacturing a B100 bicycle. Just a little note about the riteSCAN interface here. That blue hyperlink can be modified to include whatever information you want presented on screen, as well as when I click it, a little summary card comes up indicating the job, the description, stock code, quantity to make, manufactured, etc., etc. That information as well can be modified and tailored to suit your environment and what you want presented to your operators. All right, let's move into some of the basic transactional processing. What you will see is riteSCAN currently is asking me for a pallet number. Now, this is pretty useful because pallet functionality, and if you have visited the riteSCAN pallet deep dive, you'll understand this a little bit more. But riteSCAN has the ability to issue pre-configured or pre-built pallets. We will take you through that shortly. Let's start off with a simple stock code. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter the job number and I'm going to view the job. Now, what are we seeing here? All the allocations. So as created off the back of your bill of materials, the job's created, your allocations are pulled through. Here we are looking at everything that is required for issue to the job. You will notice on this interface, we can simply select and pick. We can also simply allow the operator here just to view the list, but not physically pick it, thereby ensuring that the operator actually scans the item, ensuring they are picking correctly. A couple other things on this interface, you will see add allocation and delete allocation. If you are a business that makes use of substitutions from time to time, or potentially just need to add something onto that allocation on the fly, on the floor, without having to visit SysPro, you can go ahead and add that allocation here, and you can then process the issue if needed. Let's just go ahead and process an issue. Here I selected a particular stock code, in this case a B112. I can see that it is a drivetrain assembly, and I am going to issue a particular quantity to the job. Now again, this blue text we can modify. In this case, I can take a look and I can see quantity required of 10, 0 has been issued. What many organizations have asked us to do is to change this text to demonstrate the quantity outstanding for the job. So here I'm just going to enter a quantity of 5. We are issuing from a multi-bin warehouse in this instance, hence riteSCAN is asking us to scan in the physical bin location. If we are not issuing from a multi-bin warehouse, of course, that will be grayed out. In this instance, I'm going to use the browse function, and I'm going to ask riteSCAN to tell me what bins that stock is sitting in. In this case, it is only stocked in a single bin in the RM warehouse. I'm going to select that. As per usual and as per each screen, you can capture a reference or note if required. So here we're just going to post that through. riteSCAN is going to process a very simple specific issue onto the job, and once happy, return with a post successful message. So here we have our successful message. The item has been issued, and we can now move on to the issue of additional items. So that is really simply a specific issue. What else can riteSCAN do? We can take a look at a kit issue function. Now, a kit issue, as we all understand it, is very simply looking at the allocations, the quantity required for the manufacture of whatever quantity stipulated, and we would automatically issue those values. Now, riteSCAN's take on this is to do exactly that. However, you can, and dependent on your permissions, adjust certain parameters. So, in this particular case, I may want to perform a kit issue for those items flagged as including kit issue in my bill of materials. But let's say I want to manufacture for a quantity of 5. riteSCAN will automatically calculate the quantity required that will be issued. But because we are issuing from a multi-bin warehouse, you will see that it will ask me for detail of the bin. Again, if we're not in a multi-bin warehouse, it will not ask us for the bin. We can jump through each of these items if need be. I could override the quantity, potentially in a scenario where I'm just short of stock. Again, I would capture the bin, and I would do this through each of these items and press post. Really, this is if you want to take advantage of a kit issue type function where you are issuing bulk stock. Pretty simple and straightforward. Jumping out of the issuing side of things, I did mention slightly earlier that we can use palletizing and pallet staging to facilitate a streamlined job issue. I'll revisit that shortly after we have touched on job receipting. So job receipting, really straightforward. At the end of the line or at any particular point where you want to process the CISPRO job receipt, you may have your touchscreen mounted or your handheld scanners. Operators simply scan the job card or enter in the job number. We can have it default to the outstanding quantity on the job or not, calling for an operator to enter a quantity. If you are receiving into a multi-bin warehouse, you may receive into any particular bin. If you are not receiving into a multi-bin warehouse, you will not be needed to do so. Again, reference and notation. Couple things. If you have the permissions to adjust the cost basis or the receipt cost, you may do so. You will also notice in the top right-hand corner the pallets icon. Now, if configured, you may receipt or perform your job receipt directly onto a pallet. This either onto an existing pallet or onto a new pallet which you would like created as part of this transaction. All right, so a very simple job receipt here. I'm going to select post. There are a number of validations that will come through from CISPRO or from riteSCAN, and little things like, do I want to validate the receipt, or do I want to validate whether items have been issued to satisfy the quantity of this receipt? All of these types of validations we can bring through into riteSCAN and either treat as a warning or a hard and fast stop. Here we've processed the job receipt for that quantity. riteSCAN is telling us that post successful, and if we are using pallets in the context, we could have receipted the items onto a pallet and or just triggered off normal product labels at the same time for application. So very powerful, very simple to use little feature within riteSCAN. Couple things to mention here. You have the ability to couple on a kit issue. So if you would like your operators to process a receipt for a certain quantity, riteSCAN will then call up the kit issue, which you can then post through in a single transaction, thereby coupling transactions together and really simplifying data capture within your business process. All right, moving on to another couple things that exist within the manufacturing suite of modules. We have whip locator. Whip locator is a really simple tool to allow us to start identifying where items are within the production process. So here I've entered a job number. I can view that job and I can see the operations applicable. So in this case, attach rear and front wheels to frame at work center MBFA. I could pick that, define the quantity. I could potentially scan in a particular location. I don't know, in this case, we'll call it weld, and I could add that on. Now, without going through more detail here, I have the ability to scan something in or receive something into a particular work center, and then I can scan it out and move it on to another location. So if you're looking for a very simple, easy way to track WIP throughout your production process, riteSCAN will allow you to do this, and obviously we can then bring that through onto various reporting functions if need be. All right, moving back out of whip locator, other various functions that are available within the whip module or the manufacturing module set for riteSCAN, whip receipt from inspection. We won't jump through this too much, but very simply, if I'm using inspection or that item is flagged as an inspectable item, we will create that item. It will go into inspection at the point of job receipt, and we can now go through our various quality checks or inspection processes, and matching SysPro, we will then have the ability to enter a reference number, the quantity, inspect those items, and very simply perform a scrap function, maybe issue the item back to a job for rework, or simply accept that item and push it through. riteSCAN also very usefully, if you need to receive that particular stock code out of inspection as an alternate stock code, potentially for grading purposes, or however you have your stock code set up, you can go ahead and do that by receipting as an alternate stock code. So that is whip receipt from inspection. Straightforward, very, very powerful. Within the manufacturing module, there is, of course, the backflushing functionality. We're all familiar with the backflush. Here we enter a warehouse, our stock code, quantity, and we process that backflush. That, of course, looking at your bill of materials, consuming the stock out of the relevant warehouse, and then producing your finished goods item. All right, so that was a general deep dive into I suppose the high-level view of what riteSCAN manufacturing can offer. There is a lot more to it. If you would like greater detailed view on how this can be applied into your environment, or you want to see what further functional areas we can handle, please give us a call or mail in to sales@trg.co.za. You will see the labor post and labor tracking functionality, which, yes, is applicable to my work in progress or manufacturing environment. Those we will go into further detail within the labor tracking riteSCAN deep dive. Thank you for joining me today, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.